Hello guys, welcome again to our mini podcast and I'm Agfi and here's our uh, special guest. Can you start by introducing yourself to our listeners?
Yes, my name is Michael Chuk. I'm a senior lecturer at Hong Kong Metropolitan University, and I'm here at the AS conference to talk about the history of Hong Kong hip hop.
Oh, that's so interesting. And what are you currently focusing on your work or projects?
Yeah, so for this paper, I talk about how, when we talk about the history of hip hop, usually we think of hip hop as coming from African American
Yeah.
culture, and but when I look into Hong Kong hip hop, it seems like the roots is not directly coming only from African American culture. So the term I used in my paper is called polycultural imitation.
Oh,
Yeah.
culture. So that is so interesting. Maybe you can tell us about some background on your activities or you're currently involved in.
Currently, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So for this project, it's my secondary research interest on hip hop in Asia and Chinese language hip hop. So I've written other papers about censorship and Chinese hip hop. I wrote some papers about two Hong Kong rap groups. One's called LMF, which stands for Lazy Motherfucker,
Oh yeah.
and in Cantonese they call themselves Dai Lan Tong, right, which just means lazy, very lazy. So that paper was just about emphasizing on the lazy element.
Oh,
I felt.
lazy
Yeah,
elements.
they're very lazy, which oftentimes think of as being very negative, right? Like you're a lazy
yeah.
student. But for them,
That's right.
lazy just means very carefree. Okay, I'm too lazy to care about the rules of
Oh yeah.
hip hop, about marketing, etc.
That's interesting. Maybe they see lazy and positive ways like that.
Yeah, it's a very creative way of being lazy. It's
Ah.
actually, I was quite inspired by Taoism, and Taoism is also about, transcending the rules, emptying your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you don't try, that's actually when you become very creative and
Yeah.
yeah, it's
That's right.
natural. Yeah. Yeah.
This is so interesting. So before we before to another question about your projects, I've heard that you are a podcaster too. And uh, do you use your podcast for this project or no?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the hip hop research is one of my research interests. My other interest is on the Nobel Prize in Literature. And so that podcast is called The Cultural Life of the Nobel Prize in Literature podcast. And so that podcast is just exploring how the Nobel Prize is not only having one function, because like when you think about the Nobel Prize, what do you think of?
I think the Nobel Prize is something that maybe a great people can have. A Nobel Prize that can no one can have if there doesn't have a big something on their life. Maybe.
Right.
I
So it's
think.
like a great achievement.
Yeah,
right?
that's a
Like for
great
example, I
achievement.
focus on the literature prize. It's like that is the best writer,
Yeah.
you know. But I don't think that is the only function
Mm,
that the prize exists in society. In fact, I don't think a lot of people agree with that.
Yeah.
If you think about it, because the Nobel Prize is determined by the Swedish people, and only 18 of them actually determined that.
oh.
So how can 18 people decide who's the best in the world?
yeah, that's
And
right.
and actually, you know that as well, right? Because when they select someone that you don't agree with, you complain immediately.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
Like
right.
you suck. And so I don't think the Nobel Prize exists only because it's telling you this is the best writer in the world. I think there's so many other functions. And so my podcast is just to talk to different people
Mm.
and say, okay, yeah, some people would use the Nobel Prize to facilitate mutual understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people use the Nobel Prize to create new work because of the prize money. So there's so many different functions outside of just one function. So that's what my podcast is about. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll dive into your podcast after this
All right, thank
to
you.
see about how you see the perspective of your Nobel Prize.
Right, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. And then back to our question about your projects. What is the main goal of your current projects or initiative?
The main goal, for example, the hip hop paper really is to expand our understanding of the roots of hip hop. Like I mentioned, current academics or even practitioners of hip hop, they think African American culture is essential to how, which I agree,
Yeah.
to understand hip hop. But I think that is a little bit limiting about the possibilities of hip hop, because hip hop emerged in the Bronx in New York, right? But this neighborhood is not only black people.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are
That's-
Latinos,
that's right.
there are Jamaicans, there's even poor white people in there. So therefore, that explains to us the roots of hip hop is not purely black, and that's what polycultural means. Polycultural means culture is not pure,
Yeah.
and that's true, right? Because even when I say, okay, what's Hong Kong culture? Hong Kong culture comes from the British, comes from China,
Yeah.
comes from Japan,
From around
yeah,
the world.
everywhere,
Yeah.
right? Same for Korean K-pop,
Right.
you know, the K stands for, doesn't stand for Korean necessarily,
yeah.
right? So polycultural, I want to introduce that concept to think about hip hop as well. So where we can have more possibilities.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you do this project only in Hong Kong, or maybe you have a plan to expand your projects maybe in other countries or not?
Yeah, like, so our panel
Yeah.
is about the history of hip hop in Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that involves like Singapore and Taiwan and India, mainland China and Hong Kong as well. And so it concerns a very inter-Asian,
Yeah.
pan-Asian perspective. Yeah, so it's interesting to see how other hip hop cultures develop in other
Yeah.
cultures. Yeah.
Speaking about China, do you see the difference or the same things about hip hop in Hong Kong and in China?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think. Well, if we talk about hip hop as polycultural,
Yeah.
right? Then it's not so clear the distinction. But I think maybe one thing you think about is the society of
the
the product,
society,
because
yeah.
when we talk about culture, it's never separate from society.
Right.
Yeah. So let's say when society has different politics or systems, it
Yeah,
actually
right.
affects the culture. So, for example, you can say how, like Hong Kong hip hop, maybe before 2019, was more open-minded, more political, right? Talk about many different things. Whereas in China, because of censorship, it's maybe a little bit more limited in topics, or just the expression is different.
Yeah.
So you could say the content, their content is different.
Yeah.
And then I say also the language is also quite different, right? Because China has many languages.
Oh, many
Right.
language
Yeah,
than
many
Hong Kong.
dialects.
Oh.
Yeah. So when you talk about Chinese hip hop, it actually is a mistake, right?
Yeah.
Because not everyone, like, you say you speak Chinese, but
Yeah.
actually you speak Shanghainese,
Chinese.
Sichuanese, Sichuan, Cantonese,
Yeah.
Putonghua.
There is
Yeah.
so many language. Yeah.
Yeah. So to say Chinese hip hop is, maybe the difference is like, but in Hong Kong, mainly is Cantonese, but then some people rap in English as well. But I think a lot of people would say, okay, English not authentic enough, right?
Yeah.
Because 95% of Hong Kongers speak Cantonese, and yes,
Right.
English is an official language.
Yeah.
But you are a foreigner, right?
That's right. Talking about journey, what's your journey been so far with this project? Any memorable moments you'd like to share?
Yeah, I feel like when I started working on the hip hop research, it was just out of my own interest as a child, my childhood. You know,
Ah.
that's why I wanted to write about hip hop, because I listened to it so much as a
Yeah.
youth culture.
Yeah, this is from your childhood dreams.
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah. And then, in fact, I was so interested in it. I studied African American literature
Mm.
for the purpose to learn more about
Yeah.
the culture first. And then, but now when I gradually move onto this, I find, yeah, like we just mentioned, right?
Mm.
Okay, so maybe hip hop is not only about African American
Yeah,
culture.
it's about general.
It's more fluid.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what's so interesting about hip hop, so that it can be so popular everywhere.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
precisely because it's impure.
Yeah.
Yes, like we were just visiting some rappers,
Yeah.
local rappers yesterday. Everyone dresses like a rapper,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
The ball cap.
Yeah, because everyone like maybe into that rap.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
Like,
people
yeah.
come.
You see that and that's a rapper. right?
Yeah.
And then you say, yes, that's black. But when you really think about it, because you can never be black.
Yeah, that's right.
So you are forced actually to be impure,
yeah.
right? Or else you're either fake or you're not doing very good, because you
Yeah.
can never be black. And so, yeah, I think now I am more open-minded. Right? I want to be more polycultural, and see how other people think about that.
So there is so much thing that you have learned from this project, right? Speaking about that, this project is from your childhood, and now open your mind about how you see about hip hop in the world. Yeah. And then, what kind of impact do you hope your project will have in the long term?
Yeah, so for the hip hop project, maybe just open the
Yeah.
dialogue. Yeah? So that Indonesians, when they think about how to study hip hop, they would say, yeah, I also want to go beyond New York.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
And then think about how the Javanese culture
Right.
is also very crucial to Indonesian Yogyakarta hip hop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you ever heard about Agnes Monica?
No.
She is the female singer from Indonesia,
Okay.
but now she started her career in New York.
Oh.
So she brings some hip hop song, but with Japanese culture.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. Maybe that is our start, a little bit start for expanding our Japanese culture or Indonesian culture to the world from Agnes Monica example, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you can
Yes.
searching about
Yeah.
it.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Talking about your activities, who are the primary participant or target audience for your activities in this project?
Yes. Specifically, narrowly, it would be just hip hop studies. Yeah. But I think broadly, it can connect to globalization
Ah.
studies. The transcultural studies. Maybe even connect to like my main interest, like world literature as well.
Yeah.
Because like when we talk about literature, maybe literature is not only about novels and
Yeah.
poetry. Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize in 2016.
Yeah.
He wrote lyrics, right? So maybe this can also contribute to world literature.
Yeah. And then, what are some the key or benefits of this activity that you have been feel?
the benefits
Yeah, the benefits.
of
These activities,
This-
your projects.
the benefits of this project to myself or to others.
Maybe you can say for yourself and for your others too.
Okay, so for myself, the benefits is rewarding.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we do. Research is we try to generate a little small tiny knowledge, and that process going from zero
Yeah.
to something, I think is very rewarding. But for others, yeah, maybe again just contribute a little bit about the another understanding approach to thinking about hip hop.
That's good.
Yes.
So you have a feeling like happy after you doing this project in the process and until the end, right?
Yeah, and also, you know, just to share the research and meet new people, you know, like joining the panel, meeting new friends
Yeah.
through this is very, very rewarding as well. Meeting you as well,
Yeah,
right?
thank
like
you.
just to yeah,
It's an honor to meeting you soon.
no, it's my honor, it's a pleasure as well. So yeah, I think. Do you do research? Are you interested in something?
For now, I can say no, but I used to think I want to do research about how cultural in Universitas Gadjah Mada that students around Indonesia, they are in here from Papua and from Maluku. I just want study about that. How can people meeting from around Indonesia in here? So we are exchange our culture and languages and anything. I just curious about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. I mean, when you say curious, that's like the first thing, you know? You
Yeah.
have questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where you start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Thank you. Maybe I'll start it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, please.
And have you faced any challenges while running this program? And what keeps you motivated despite these challenges?
Yeah. I think the main challenge was maybe to when you say something new, it can be challenging because you need to be different.
Yeah.
So when you're different, then maybe sometimes it's uncomfortable to myself and also to other people. But I think that's what research is about, right? Because research is you need to separate yourself from the personal.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So personally, I also think hip hop is black.
Ah.
I also think that. But personally, because that's how I grew up
Yeah.
listening to hip hop. Yeah, every rapper, even Eminem, you know, like he's
Yeah.
white, but he listens to so much black
Black
music
song. Yeah.
to the point where he is black.
Yeah, right.
Culturally, and so personally, I think hip hop is black. So when I say that hip hop is not purely black, it's uncomfortable to myself and to other people.
Right.
But I think that's what research is about.
Yeah.
Because research is about you have a theory and you have evidence. So when you have theory and evidence, then you have an argument.
Right.
So the argument is I argue. Yeah, so you can disagree.
Yeah.
But I have my argument. So that's the challenge in a way, you know.
Right.
You try to be the devil's advocate. So maybe that's a little bit challenging. Maybe sometimes people would think you're a bad person, you know, because
Yeah.
you're the devil. Yeah. But I think that's what research is about. Just you want to open minds. So yeah, like when you say you're curious,
Yeah.
right, about maybe you make some people uncomfortable because
Right.
you're questioning, asking questions. That's what research is about.
Okay, talking about Eminem right now, maybe you have some female or male artists from hip hop. Do you like, or maybe just the song?
Yeah. So, I'm very passionate about Kanye West.
Oh, Kanye West.
Yes, and so this is the. Sometimes it's uncomfortable now, right, to like
Yeah.
Kanye West, right, because of all the controversies. But yeah, again, I keep a very open mind about
Oh,
him because yeah, he's been very creative
right.
for so
Yeah.
many years to the point where I think even when you hear him talk about sensitive issues, uh, it also encourages me
Yeah.
to rethink.
Right.
Okay, so maybe obviously not everything he says is right, but it, maybe because of his music being so creative, I can also inspire myself to just at least question,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I think Kanye is very hip hop in that sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I like Kanye too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite song?
From Kanye, not so favorite song, but I like because she's so standing for herself.
Oh yeah.
Like in everything, when she have an argue with Taylor Swift and anything,
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
like his confidence.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is-
The confidence is so appealing and
Yeah,
also
right.
inspiring, right?
Yeah.
He says something like, "I am the espresso
Yeah.
to get you up in the morning,"
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
that's
So,
right.
yeah. Right.
So maybe this is the end of the podcast. Do you have any closing statement or final thoughts you like to share with our listeners, or maybe you want to share your podcast too in here?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, my podcast is called "The Cultural Life of the Nobel Prize in Literature," and you can find it on Spotify. I have a clips channel on YouTube as well, and the website is
Yeah.
nobelculturallife.wordpress.com. So one word, yes. And again, I want to say thank you so much
Thank you so
for
much
putting
too.
this together,
Yeah.
and I think you did a really good job.
Thank you.
Very easy to talk to.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Nice to meet you,
Yes.
Michael.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, guys, this is our podcast about Michael and his project and his podcast. Maybe you can dive into his podcast, the YouTube channel that he shared just now. So, that's all our podcast this episode. See you next episode. Bye.